tal amigos? Welcome to LatiNation Futbol Club. I am your host Marcelino Ortiz and I'm so excited because today we have a great show. We are covering the Club World Cup, the Copa de Oro and National Women's Soccer League. We have it all, but let's focus on the tournament that is taking over the headlines in the US, and that is the Club World Cup. And that's why I am here with Nik Z and Chiva Mayor. My friends, how are you?
Hey, feliz, contento, mucho fútbol. Ready.
Ready to go, Nick?
How could you not be with all this stuff going on, right?
It's amazing. Let's start at the beginning. Let's start with Real Madrid. Chiva, your team that struggled to impress today. They had a game that turned out to be a destroyer of parlays, a maker of kings, because a 1-1 draw between Al Hilal and Real Madrid was not expected. Chiva, what happened con tus Galácticos?
I mean, it was Xabi Alonso's first official game, right? No excuse, but at the end of the day, it was a 1-1 that surprised the world.
Yep.
I think that this has been the result that has surprised everyone, like you said, with the parlay, people losing money, people making good money. But at the end of the day, Al Hilal showed up and they played like if they were Manchester City or Barcelona. It was a really good contender. This is not a game where Madrid had 20 chances and they missed them all. No, this was a very close game. Valverde missing a penalty kick that affected a little bit. But, you know, I think they're going to blame the heat. We've been hearing that from European teams complaining about the time that the game has been playing. And I think that's going to be an excuse. But there's no excuse to tie 1-1 versus Al Hilal. Come on.
Yeah, that was Real Madrid's siesta time around noon. They were like, why are we playing right now? We're not used to this.
Let's highlight, Nick, the performance of Bono, the goalkeeper for Al Hilal. What a game.
Man of the match, especially in that second half, stopping a penalty. I mean, if you were watching that game, you were probably like, oh, that's it. That's game over for Al Hilal. You know, Real Madrid's going to Real Madrid their way out of this match. But no, he said, no, thank you. He stopped another late header right there in like the 80-something minute as well. Man of the match as far as I'm concerned. But he's a great player. I mean, that's why he plays for Morocco, which did great in the last World Cup. Thanks to Ian, too.
And guys, this is why this tournament is so amazing, because we've seen results that we were not expecting, and we've seen teams that really came out to compete. We were dubious to see the quality that we will see on the pitch, but I like to say that the product that we see on the field is a winning product. Not so much on the stands where we have mixed reviews. We have a few games with up to 80,000 people, but other games with just 80 people. Chiva, talk to me about that. What's happening?
Orlando, Tuesday, early in the day. I mean, two teams that I don't even remember the names. Sorry, to be honest with you. That's what happened. You know, there's this type of games that are gonna affect the attendance. Even though the average is not that bad. 12 games to 13 games now is around 36,000 people per game. But at the end of the day, you don't want a tournament of FIFA tournament looking this bad with only 80 people. It's not right.
You know, a lot of people have been talking about how the stands look kind of almost half empty. But let's keep in mind, a lot of these games are being played in like ginormous American football stadiums. So they're a little spread out. I've been hearing a lot about the ticket prices and things regarding the really high prices. But now when you go online and you want to buy a ticket last minute, you see some for $25, $40. So what's up with that? What was all of this talk of astronomical prices and then them getting slashed all of a sudden? How did that happen?
I think that Chiva brought at that point a few weeks ago when he said that it was important for FIFA to learn the lesson that it's not about selling tickets for $350 a pop. It's more about finding the right pricing for most of the people to want to attend. I think that is in the benefit of the US soccer at large for them to push for cheaper tickets. So we see a World Cup next year that is full and that it's exciting. Also, let's be honest, we're splitting the attention, right? We have also Copa de Oro that we will be talking about in the next segment. But let's go back to the field because there's so much game. Let's start with the most scandalous result of the first match day. 10-0 Bayern Munich, destroying the part-timers from New Zealand. Chiva,
they're not even on a professional soccer team. They're semi-professionals that have a work, carpinteros, teachers. Oh, I mean, for them, it was still good, man. They play against Bayern Munich on a world stage. So even though it was bad, the 10-0, I feel like they're going to be happy with the jersey they switch with the other players. And they're going to take that home. Now, let's see how many goals they're going to take because like we were talking about it earlier, it's gonna get down to the goal differential in that group. And it could be ugly for them.
It's gonna be brutal. We were doing the analysis, and that group It's Boca Juniors and Benfica that had an amazing draw. We'll be talking about in the next segment, the performance of the South American teams in this tournament. But this draw, combined with the victory that already happened, is going to push Benfica and Boca Juniors, assuming that they lose with Bayern, that they will have to score the most goals to advance to the next round, putting this team in a very vulnerable position. Now, again, this is what this tournament is all about, is bringing these teams that throughout 4 years have great results in the confederations, bring them together. You know, the up and downs of that process of selection is tough. Now, let's talk about another game that Chiva was present, the LAFC team failing to make a statement, but still fighting and representing MLS proudly on their loss 2-0 to Chelsea.
Let me tell you, man, it was in Atlanta, 3 p.m. A lot of people couldn't show up because it was work time. I read a lot of comments about people saying, oh, if it would be America, it would be a full stadium. Don't lie to yourself. You know, that wouldn't happen. But going back to the game, I think it was a phenomenal game for LAFC. I'm very proud of my team. At the end of the day, they came out, they tried their best. They had chances to score. And unfortunately, the big team, when we had a couple of good plays to make it 1-1, we didn't score. They had a counterattack. They made it 2-0, but it was a very decent game. I think LAFC proved the world that they can compete with anyone.
That's right, Chiva. It was a great performance for the black and gold, putting the MLS there in the picture. And now the result against the Esperance de Tunis is very, very crucial for their aspirations to move on to the next round. Nick, let's talk about one of the most important games, the opening game in the Los Angeles area, Rose Bowl, 80,000 people, PSG versus Atletico de Madrid. How did you like it?
I would say it has these big expectations because it's kind of the most leveled game that we've seen so far in terms of big teams. This isn't Bayern Munich versus the tiny, David Goliath kind of thing with Auckland City. This is two very well-established teams. But the score didn't reflect that at all. PSG came in hot, steamrolled over Atletico Madrid. What was it, 4-0? Come on. PSG, I think, up there with the favorites to win this tournament. And I think they showed that in UEFA. They're showing it here in North America as well. And yeah, it was a great result for PSG. Not all that surprised either. I mean, Atletico Madrid, solid team in their own right, but PSG is just so on another level compared to so many other squads that, I wasn't all that shocked.
And now, Atletico de Madrid has to force a great game against Seattle. Chiva, do you think Seattle will be a good representative for MLS and get an upset that will be historical for the league?
I mean, they're gonna play at home with their fans on their turf. Anything can happen. It's football. We just saw it today with Real Madrid. Nobody thought they were gonna tie 1-1 against Al Hilal. Seattle Sounders, they're there, and Atletico they don't look good at all. I was at the stadium. And one thing I want to mention, I love the fact that Los Angeles is a football city. You went to that game, it was more than 80,000 people, and everybody wearing a different jersey in that stadium, from Mexico jerseys to all around the world. And I love to see that when it comes on a tournament like this one.
Were there any Galaxy jerseys?
Not at all, not a single one. Many of LAFC, a lot.
Oh my God, the beef is real here in LatiNation Football Club, my friends. And now let's put some analysis on the table. After we saw the teams play their first game, which teams that didn't think to have an opening to move on to the next round now have a clear path?
Oh, good question. I think Al Hilal has really set themselves up now. They got over the main hurdle, which I think the only thing that they needed to do was to not lose that match. The expectations were low, and they did it. So from here on out, if they can beat Real Madrid, they can surely take on Pachuca and whoever else is in their way.
We also got Boca Juniors and River Plate, but we'll talk about that later.
Yes, that's right, Chiva, because when we come back here in LatiNation Football Club, we're going to have all the analysis of the performance of the Latin American teams, all the way from the north in Seattle to the south in Brazil, here in LatiNation Football Club. I'm your host, Marcelino Ortiz, and we'll be right back.
Here we go at Oakmont. Let's start with the course. What do we know about this course? How long is the rough, and Does course history come into effect for you this week?
The U.S. Open has always been billed as the most difficult test of golf there is on the planet. And I tell you what, it's often labeled as the most difficult golf course in the world is Oakmont.
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid.
We don't want you playing here. Can you move positions? Do something else. He starts the season like 0 for 150, it felt like, and finally finds himself in a groove at the plate, hitting 272. 15 home runs on the season? Now he's shipped to San Francisco.
What is management going to do? Nobody who's paying you $313.5 million is going to hear anything from you. They'll figure out a way to get rid of you, and that's exactly what they did.
The early line. Only on SportsGrid.
Every 5 days, it's really exciting when Skeens pitches. And it's terrible watching him pitch because every time he pitches, they don't score.
Having him hit the lineup probably would actually help when he pitches. There's no way to do it because you can't. But, yeah, it's beyond frustrating. And the numbers will tell you, the books have adjusted.
Pharrell coast to coast. Only on SportsGrid.
Dialing it back to his old days with St. Louis and Arizona. Buy or sell, Goldie will finish top 7 in fantasy first baseman.
No, I'm going to say no. I think he'll fall off. Older player here, he'll be top 10, but not top 7 here. Top 10, I would say, yeah, I'd buy it. Top 7, I'm going to say no here. I think he'll put up decent numbers here. Not as good as he was. I don't think he's going to bat 340, 350 all year long.
Fantasy sports today. Only on SportsGrid.
We are back here in LatiNation Football Club. I am your host, Marcelino Ortiz, and we continue our analysis of the Club World Cup, and I have this expert panel, Alex Crespo, Nik Z, Chiva Mayor. We bring our expertise, and we're going to break down the performance of the Latin American teams that are participating in the Club World Cup, starting up north, Chiva, with Seattle. Proud representative of MLS that show a good effort, but was unable to get the result.
Yeah, I mean, a Seattle team that showed up to the game, they 2-1. They had a couple of chances at the end of the game to tie the game, playing at home advantage with other fans. And, they're making MLS proud, even though they haven't gotten the result. I think that Seattle did really good in this particular game. They didn't get a point or 3 points, but at the end of the day, they got 2 more games to go at home, and I think they should take advantage of it.
Look at Monterrey. Look at Inter. That match. I think everyone was expecting, this is going to be really competitive, but Inter's going to have the edge. It wasn't necessarily like that. And I think that goes to show also something else, a bigger picture. And this is part of the beauty of this tournament. I think that's fascinating. With the European teams, maybe like Inter Milan, they might come in here and think, we got 1 foot in the door already. We're the European squads. But then they're met with a difficult truth. And that is Central American teams, the MLS, South American teams, they're going to be playing a lot differently, and they're coming with a lot of energy, and they have something to prove, and they're going to prove it's very difficult, sometimes. And I think we saw that with Inter Milan. They were expecting a walk in the park, maybe, and they didn't.
Monterrey with a defensive performance for the ages, and also Sergio Ramos scoring a header and unlocking a myriad of bonuses on his contract. We'll talk about that in another episode. But Chiva, the Argentinians team, Boca Juniors, River Plate, they came and they showed not only on the stands because Boca had an impressive display, but also showing that these teams came prepared to give it all and to fight on the field.
Well, let's not forget about who they played too, Benfica, and what I read with their supporters, amazing supporters. They went toe-to-toe with the supporters of River Plate. That was amazing to watch. A River Plate that dominated the game, that won 3-1, and that set a statement that the South American teams don't come here to play around. They know the importance of this tournament, and they want to win it.
Yes, and now, talk to me about your team, Boca Juniors. We thought that for a moment they had this game 2-0 in the first half, and then little by little it crumbled. Benfica came back. Otamendi with an amazing performance. Let it be known that Otamendi is a big River Plate supporter, so it seemed like on his own volition beat it.
I think one of the things that is really underestimated is la hinchada de Boca, los bosteros. They really showed up. They took over Miami by storm, and I think that the power of la hinchada really showed up in this game and showed that, Their next game is against Bayern Munich, but who knows? In this tournament, we've seen just anything that you could imagine. I have faith. I have faith.
That is the beauty of this tournament. And now we have to talk about another tournament happening in the US, and that is the Copa de Oro, the Gold Cup. And now let's focus on three teams, the three hosts of the upcoming World Cup: Mexico, Estados Unidos, and Canada. They all begin the tournament with victories, different type of victories. The US, confident victory. Canada, dominating victory. Mexico, a so-so victory. Chiva, talk to me. What's happening with Mexico?
I mean, Mexico. Let me tell you, you just said it's a preparation for the World Cup, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a 3-2. The República Dominicana played a really, really good football, especially in the second half. They almost had that game, Malagón, with a huge save for Mexico. At the end of the day, they got that result. Javier Aguirre is working in the team. He's trying to transform his team into something different than what it was, and he's getting there little by little. There's no excuse not to scoring more goals, especially against, with all the respect, with a team like República Dominicana. But at the end of the day, they got the result, and that's the most important thing right now. It's going to bring him more confident. That Aguirre is going to be able to see who's not running, and he actually mentioned it on the press conference without saying names, that there was 3 players that were just walking the field that basically gave up. So that's good for the coach. That's something that you want to see, and that's what they're going to use in this tournament for now. Do they have to win it? They have to win it.
That's right, Chiva. It's an obligation for Mexico and the US to make it to the final game of this tournament. Let's go to the US because something really interesting is happening. They were able to get a 5-0 victory over Trinidad and Tobago, but the most interesting thing is that it happened without Capitán América, without Pulisic. Nik, is this what happens when players of that category decide to take vacations, take the summer off, and giving an opening for other systems to come to fruition? Talk to me.
There's been a lot of criticism of our star player over that. We don't need to get more into it. You're on whatever side you're going to be on, whether he should be in this tournament or not. I think he should, but whatever. He's got the World Cup coming up. Maybe he needs a mental break. Whatever. That's up to him. Now, the bigger thing at play, I think Pochettino's vision is sort of coming to fruition. There was a bit of a panic. People were freaking out because U.S. men's national team's been, let's say, underperforming lately, as of late, or at least not meeting expectations. And they're paying a lot of money for this fancy new shiny coach, and he's just not delivering. Or so we thought. Maybe his plan just needed to take a little time, give these young players a little bit of connection, these young homegrown players, these local guys, and let it kind of work itself out. And I think we might be starting to see that 5-0 win over Trinidad and Tobago. Okay, not a huge team, not a huge opponent, but I think that was a win that we really needed to calm people's nerves, to calm the ease and the pressure on the coach, on the team, on everybody, so that they can actually do what they're trying to do. And I think this was a good first step. 5-0, that's a good opening match. Okay, we're not Bayern Munich here, but, we needed this. And I'm hoping things come to fruition and keep playing out. We saw, PSG shine when Neymar and Messi left. So, I think maybe the U.S. needs a more balanced squad, and maybe that's how you do it. And then afterwards, when Pulisic decides it's time to come in, maybe he'll come in and add his magic to it. Or maybe they won't need him.
Let me tell you, maybe they got rid of the cancer of the team, because it happens many times where la superestrella, superstar, is acts like a diva and takes the energy away from the rest of the players.
Now, let's bring it all home with the last team of this trifecta, which is Canada. Canada, the most convincing team. I was talking to you guys last week about it. For me, the candidate to be the winner of this tournament. What is the future of Canada in this tournament?
It's amazing. You just mentioned that Jesse March, I know him personally, such an amazing human being and a great coach, has been all around the world. And for Canada to have him, they won the lottery with Jesse March, very passionate coach that is going to make a difference on the results for Canada, not just on the Gold Cup, but also on the World Cup.
So not only the Club World Cup is giving great performances and great storyline, also La Copa de Oro, and we'll be continue to covering it here in LatiNation Football Club. But it's time for a break, so don't go anywhere, because when we come back, we're going to talk about NWSL, that's right, the National Women's Soccer League, and we have a little surprise. Don't tell anyone, because I'm going to show this to my teammates when we come back.
On June 25th at 7:30 p.m., ditch the guesswork. Ben Stevens, Kevin Walsh, James Young and Tom Vecchio have your NBA draft betting coverage pick by pick, bet by bet, all night long. We got all the insights and expert analysis because betting blind isn't a strategy. Coverage starts at 7:30 p.m. on June 25th, only on SportsGrid.
Astros right now have awoken. Maybe they are the best team out in the West because a rooting interest for me, Tom, always the Mariners. Hey, they're finally getting the hitting back, but now that's starting to slide.
We can make the case for the Rangers. They shore up some things. A team that the Rangers, you and I were both very high on coming into the season. They make a shot for the wild card. But I do think it's going to be a two-team race between the Astros and the Mariners, and that's really about it.
Yeah, it's a shame.
Pro Baseball Today, only on SportsGrid.
Does a guy like Giannis fit onto that roster if you can make some of those changes?
I just don't see a KD pursuit as being realistic for the Knicks. But hey, if they can pull a rabbit out of a hat, as Leon Rose oftentimes can, I'd go after Giannis in a heartbeat. It's just, what type of package could they entice for the Milwaukee Bucks? And is it a 3 or 4 team trade? It gets a little bit tricky in that regard.
You see the Knicks there with a plus 340 price.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
¿Qué tal, amigos? We are back here in LatiNation Futbol Club. I'm your host, Marcelino Ortiz, and we continue our coverage of the Club World Cup, and that's why my good friend Alex Crespo has a special surprise for us, my friend. What do you got going on?
All right, well, Marcelino, Robbie, our technical director, and I were able to go to El Paris Saint-Germain contra Atlético de Madrid, ending in a 4-0 score. And we saw a lot of Latino representation in this game, so I don't want to say any more. I'd rather just show you.
Let's go check it out.
What's up, LatiNation FC fam? We are here at the PSG versus Atlético de Madrid game, and we are a bit late. Traffic is insane here in LA. The Rose Bowl traffic is just something not to mess around with. We're making it here for the second half where PSG are leading 2-0, so we're going to see how this match unravels, so let's go. All I can think of is I see you with the Ecuador jersey. Yeah. How do you feel about Pacho being el primer ecuatoriano to win the Champions League and make history for your country?
Such an honor for him to do that, to represent Ecuador, just to be in that type of platform to begin with, and just being his first year at PSG. And I mean, he's really the catalyst of their offense. And I think, Luis Enriquez talked about that. It runs through him, right? And it really restarts with him. You could see him calling for the ball. So he's really been a protagonist for the club and with the national team too, which is qualified for the World Cup too recently. So it's just kind of just part of how the national team has grown. Ecuadorian soccer has grown professionalism, and it's become, in South America, a strong team, a country to represent South America in the World Cup.
Overall, this game was insane. I mean, we had 80,000 fans in the stadium, even though it was 80 plus degrees outside. I mean, this was definitely not a game for the weak, especially if you're an Atletico Madrid fan. This game was traumatizing, I gotta say. 4 goals to start off the tournament is not an easy way to start it off, and now we're gonna have to see where they go in this tournament, because I mean, this is a tournament of the best teams in the world, and Atletico Madrid are not off to a good start. And that's it for LatiNation FC out on the field, so we're heading back to the studio with the team.
And it is time to talk about the National Women's Soccer League, the NWSL, and that's why we have our very own Camila Ortiz here on the set. How are you?
I'm great. I am super excited to be back talking about my favorite league.
Oh my God, there's so many games. Let's talk about the 3 teams that are on the top of the standings, starting at the bottom with none other than San Diego Wave, this team that has been rising. Talk to me.
I mean, this is a big underdog team. We saw earlier at the season they were bottom to mid-tier, but somehow they have just managed. They are on a 6-1-1 run so far, so they are riding this momentum. And I really think that it has to do a lot with team chemistry. I mean, we have to remember this is a extremely new team. This is their second season so far, I think. So I think once that team starts meshing better, the team chemistry, the results are showing up on the field.
It is showing indeed. Now let's talk about a team that is the current champion, none other than Orlando Pride, headed by Martha. How are they doing? What was their last result?
I mean, Orlando Pride is Orlando Pride. They are an incredibly strong team. This weekend, again, they got another 3 points, but I do want to note, a bit shaky. It was only a 1-0 win over Bay FC, who is last. And Bay FC peppered them with shots, 20 shots on goal. So I think Orlando Pride got a little bit lucky, and I think I could have seen them be a bit stronger.
Now, let's talk about the team that is setting the standard in the league, and that is Kansas City Current.
10 wins, 2 losses. That is an incredible run for this team. They have, like we said earlier this season, they have an incredibly strong fan base, and I think that is a strong momentum throughout the season. They secured another 3 points this weekend against Racing Louisville, winning 4-2 and scoring 3 goals in only 20 minutes. That is incredible. I think it speaks for itself how strong this team is being this season. We have to talk about Riley Tiernan. She is an incredibly strong player on ACFC, not only scoring this weekend, but making a real difference. Although they didn't win this weekend on the field, they won in their stance. They showed who they support, their community. What did you think about that?
I was very, very impressed with ACFC leadership and the team at large. They put together these shirts called Immigrant City Football Club. They gifted thousands upon thousands to everyone that went to the game. And it was a beautiful statement supporting the immigrants of Los Angeles, the people that are most scared to go out to the stadium right now. And I think, como se dice, la pelota no se toca, no se mancha, and we should make sure that people are free to go and feel safe in their own city. But, you know, I see that you're wearing your LAFC. Is that the inaugural season?
This is the inaugural season jersey. It's an OG.
Ah, an OG. Well, speaking of inaugural season jerseys, I do wear the inaugural LatiNation Football Club jersey for this, our first season.
Hold on. How come we don't have that? Guys, what's that about?
What are you guys talking about? Oh.
Yeah, be the only one.
Yeah.
¿Qué está pasando?
The official signing ceremony for the LatiNation Football Club.
Thank you.
We're going to give t-shirts to all of our team right here. Chiva.
Dale, vamos.
And with that, we come to the end of the show. This is LatiNation Football Club, and I'm your host, Marcelino Ortiz, and we thank you, the MVP of the team, for choosing to be with us at this time. Here, LatiNation Football Club, el mejor show de fútbol en la televisión.
On June 25th at 7:30 p.m., ditch the guesswork. Ben Stevens, Kevin Walsh, James Young, and Tom Vecchio have your NBA draft betting coverage pick by pick, bet by bet, all night long. We got all the insights and expert analysis because betting blind isn't a strategy. Coverage starts at 7:30 p.m. on June 25th, only on SportsGrid.
The Minnesota Vikings, J.J. McCarthy, who had such a good training camp last year, and it looked like he was pretty good, I believe, in the preseason, if I'm not mistaken, ended up going down for the full year. The Vikings are still obviously committed to him.
They knew that McCarthy was going to be available at some point in June. And McCarthy actually went on record last week and confirmed 2 weeks ago he was cleared medically. He did work last week. And he's going to be their starter.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
I'm with you in that you're going to have to take calculated risks. And that's what Leon Rose has been about since he's been here. And he's been measured. He hasn't been gung-ho in terms of mortgaging this franchise's future for immediate gains. They have had a prudent approach, and you're going to have to roll the dice in certain respects to get to that top level. And you're right, Donnie, when you look at next season, all things considered, you hope that they're healthy, and if they roll over, say, 85 to 90% of this roster, this is a top 3 team in the East. With Boston coming down, you know Milwaukee is going to come down, and so you have to figure it's going to be Indiana, the Knicks, the Cleveland Cavaliers in some sort of order in the preseason rankings. And so where they go from here, Jason Kidd is obviously the hot name right now. Things both sides are interested from what we've heard in terms of Kidd and the New York Knicks. Is he that championship caliber coach to take the Knicks there?
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.